Hey everyone, we tend to think of science as this giant, finished book of facts. But what if it's not like that at all? What if it's more like a living story? One that's constantly being edited, with whole chapters getting tossed out and rewritten from scratch. Today, we're diving into 3 amazing moments where science did exactly that.
Just imagine a core principle, something you'd find in every single textbook, something scientists thought was totally settled for decades, and then, boom, it suddenly gets proven wrong.
And this doesn't just happen in a lab with microscopes. It happens in our understanding of our own history, our own minds. And we're not talking about small corrections here. We're talking about massive shifts that change everything. Okay, let's get into it.
So, our first story takes us right down to the building blocks of life itself, the cell. And for the longest time, there was this one rule that just seemed unbreakable. The big idea was this: once a cell specializes, becomes a skin cell or a muscle cell or whatever, that's it. It's a one-way street. Its job was locked in for life, its genetic programming considered totally irreversible.
And you can totally see why scientists thought this. I mean, look at them. An embryonic cell, a fetal fibroblast, a mammary cell, they look and act completely different. Even though they have the exact same DNA, they've chosen their career paths. And the assumption was always, well, there's just no going back.
Then, in 1997, this paper drops in the journal Nature, and what's so wild about this quote is how calmly it says something absolutely revolutionary. It's basically saying that when a cell specializes, it doesn't actually break or permanently change its original genetic blueprint. The instructions for creating a whole new organism, they're still in there, totally intact.
And this is the living, breathing proof. Meet Dolly the sheep. She wasn't created the normal way. Nope, she was cloned from a single adult mammary cell from another sheep. She was the one exception that didn't just test the rule, she completely shattered it. An adult cell could be reset, and that discovery would basically open the door for entire new fields like regenerative medicine. But here's the thing. This breakthrough was incredibly difficult. This table just lays it all out. It shows the insane amount of persistence it took. The scientists made 277 attempts, fusing adult cells with egg cells. And out of all of those, how many live lambs were born? Just one. Dolly, a single success that rewrote a fundamental rule of biology. Wow.
Now, this whole process of rewriting the rules, it doesn't just happen on a microscopic level. Let's jump in our time machine and go way back into the deep history of our own species. Because here, too, a story everyone believed was about to get a major rewrite.
For a long, long time, the picture we had of our ancient ancestors from hundreds of thousands of years ago was that they were, well, kind of primitive. The prevailing theory was that they were mostly scavengers, grabbing leftovers from carcasses left by other, better predators. They weren't seen as being smart enough to plan and pull off complex, large animal hunts.
And then, in a coal mine in Germany, of all places, these turned up. Now, they might not look like much, but these are some of the most important human artifacts ever found. They're perfectly balanced, fire-hardened wooden spears literally designed for throwing. And the kicker? They're about 400,000 years old.
This discovery changed everything. The old story was out. Our ancestors weren't just simple scavengers. They were sophisticated hunters. Think about it. To make and use weapons like these, you need advanced planning, you need to collaborate as a group, and you need a really good understanding of your materials. It meant hunting wasn't just a lucky break for them. It was an essential, crucial part of how they lived.
All right, for our final example, we're shifting gears again. We're going from our ancient past to the inner workings of the human mind, specifically looking at how children learn things so unbelievably fast.
So, scientists have always been fascinated by this thing called fast mapping. It's that superpower kids have where you can say a new word to them, just once. Like, look, that's a blicket. And they can often remember what a blicket is weeks later. For ages, the thinking was that this was a special trick the brain had developed, a mechanism that was only for learning language.
So researchers designed this really clever experiment to see if that was true. They had kids play with a bunch of objects. At some point, they casually mentioned that one of the new weird objects was called a koba. But then, for a different new object, they taught them a simple fact, something like, "My uncle gave me this one." The real question was, would the brain's supermemory work just as well for the fact as it did for the word?
And the result was a huge surprise. The kids remembered the new fact just as well as they remembered the new word, koba. And what that meant was that fast mapping wasn't some special language-only tool after all. It's a powerful, general-purpose memory system that our brains use to rapidly soak up all kinds of new information. Yet another rule, completely rewritten.
So we've got a cloned sheep, we've got ancient spears, and we have a kid's memory game. They seem totally unrelated, right? But what do these three stories really tell us about what science actually is?
Let's just recap what we saw. We learned that an adult cell's destiny is not sealed. We learned that early humans were not simple scavengers, but were actually complex, collaborative hunters. And we learned that the brain's incredible learning ability isn't just for words. In every single case, one powerful piece of evidence forced us to throw out the old textbook answer.
And this, right here, this is the heart of it all. The real magic of science isn't in what we know for sure. It's in the relentless, built-in process of questioning everything, of testing our assumptions, and, when the evidence is undeniable, being willing to completely rewrite its own rules. It's a method for chasing the truth, not a library of finished truths.
And that, of course, leads to the most exciting question there is. From the vastness of the universe to the secrets of our own consciousness, the story of science is so far from over. It makes you wonder, what fundamental fact that we all take for granted today is just waiting for its own Dolly, its own ancient spear to come along? What rule is going to be rewritten next?